Express the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis in symbolic form. Use the correct symbols such as mu, p, h for the indicated parameter. An entomologist writes an article in a scientific journal which claims that fewer than 7 in 10,000 male fireflies are unable to produce light due to a genetic mutation. Use the parameter p, the true proportion of fireflies unable to produce light. Okay, well, before you do anything, you have to make sure that you know what these symbols mean. Mu is for population mean. And P is the true proportion, or the population proportion. Meaning that if you were able to collect all the fireflies on the earth right now, which would be impossible even if you use like trillions of dollars, and then counted all those who are unable to produce light due to genetic mutation, then you would get the true value of P. But because this is impossible, people use samples, and you do statistical inference to make a judgment about the actual true proportion P. And because this is about the population proportion, we actually don't get to use mu at all. There's nothing in this question that uses population mean. Okay, so it'll be this one. And then you have to figure out what the null hypothesis is and what the alternative hypothesis is. And you go for the alternative hypothesis first because that's what you want to prove. This person, entomologist, wants to prove that the true proportion is less than 7 out of 10,000. By the way, what's 7 out of 10,000? That's 0.0007, right? So you want to show that the actual true proportion P is less than 0.0007. So let's write that down. So simply, you're trying to prove that P is less than 0.0007, that the proportion of fireflies that are unable to produce light is less than, an extra s there, less than 7 out of 10,000. Okay. Now for the null hypothesis, it depends on the textbook. Some textbooks just say, oh, it's the opposite of this one, so you're trying to have the null hypothesis as this one. But still, many other textbooks just say, just put equal. And they're both right because they have their reasons. But since either one is correct, let's just go with equal sign, because then you don't have to think that much. I mean, anytime you have a null hypothesis, it's always P equals to some value or mu equals to some value. That's how the null hypothesis is phrased every time. Okay, then you don't have to worry about whether to put greater than or less than. This is fine. Okay, and the alternative, the null hypothesis would be that that the proportion of fireflies that are unable to produce light is equal to 7 out of 10,000. Okay, so that's the null hypothesis. And then this person will gather the samples and then count the fireflies who has the genetic mutation, can't produce the light, and then that person can do statistical analysis to reject this H0 and show that this is true. So that's how statistics are used in biology research.